Greetings, everyone. DFG here, Gideon's Flight. How many of you guys are familiar with the Trace Act? Trace, the Trace Act, uh, as formerly known as HR 6666. That's 6666. Now that in itself should, cause maybe just a tiny bit of an alarm, because in our book, it talks in Revelation chapter 13. It talks about the mark of the beast, right? The mark, the number of the number of man, and that number is 666, right? But in this case, they add an additional six. Coincident? No. To throw you off a little bit? Yeah, because I'm sure they already know that some Bible historic believers like myself and many of you will surely easily connect those dots and say, wait a minute, I don't know what this is all about, but I don't want to have anything to do with any kind of mark of the beast. And if again you ask, what is the beast? It's the system of man. It's the number of man, 666. As our book states, go back and read Revelation chapter 13. It tells you, again, 666 is the number of the man. 666 is the number of the beast. This bill, 6666, was created as a bill by man to force other men into taking this particular mark. And yes, I said it like I meant it. This particular mark. Now let me explain why I said that. If you go back to this Trace Act, and this is what Trace stands for, guys. The Trace Act. T, again, R-A-C-E. Testing, reaching, and contacting everyone. Okay, let's do this again. What is the Trace Act? Testing, reaching, and contacting everyone. That means everybody is going to get tested, whether you want to or not. And for those of you guys who are living off the grid, and those of you guys who are living apart, guess what, guys? You're included in that number. Unless you're living off the grid or living apart in some deep tunnel somewhere, underground, bunker, where no one can reach you outside of a secluded security group, then they're going to come on your compound and they're going to test you. And let me tell some of you guys, and I have a lot of respect for a lot of these guys who are living apart, a lot of these guys who have their camps. I respect them. I listen to a lot of things that they say. But this one thing, guys, you must remember. If you're thinking of following that lead and that method, which there is some logic there, I understand, because they'll probably be the last ones to be under siege. If you're in these cities, you're going to be the first one to be under siege when they come knocking on your door, to do their so-called trace testing. But even if you're living off the grid, please understand, guys, that is not going to stop them from coming at some point in time. They'll be there, all right? You know how you say later than sooner, but they're going to come. And what's the rewards of that? I'm not talking about them coming, but living off the grid, living set apart. You're going to have more time. You probably have a whole lot more time to adjust. Maybe even build up defenses, find a way to secure yourself. But I just have to say this to you guys because I think it's important to notate. You look at something like, what is David Caress? Remember David Caress? I'm trying to think of what his compound was called. I can't think of the name of his Davidians. I knew they were the Davidians, but I can't think of the name of their compound. In Waco, we all remember that. And you remember in that compound, almost 100 people were burned to death because they were under siege from the government. And they had weapons, and they had food, and they had been taught a lot of survival, techniques to be prepared for the end time, because that's what David Caress was teaching them. He was teaching them to be prepared for the end of time. And when they were under siege, he and those who were under siege with him truly believed that they were being attacked by the beast, by Satan and his group, to destroy, the last of Yah's people. That's what he believed. Okay? So a lot of these set apart groups, not all, have that same similar mindset. And I just bring that, to your attention. I want to bring it forward, not to tell you not to do it. I'm just saying to you, just remember, it is not the end all. You know what I'm saying? The be all, end all, or whatever. You're gonna have to defend those compounds, and not against the scavengers who are running out there. When shit hits the fan, it's gonna be the government that you're gonna have to fight against, and you got to fight them from the sky, and you're gonna have to fight them from the fields, and it's gonna be pretty harsh and difficult if that's your plan. I'm just saying, okay? But let's get back into the text here. If you go into, this Trace Act, and I want to read this bill to you, and I hope you'll tolerate me doing it for you, because some of you guys probably are very, very busy, and you may not have even found the time. I know you've heard about, that they're going to be coming to people's houses and, and wanting to test, and if you don't allow them to test, then they're going to come back with government officials, and they're going to force you to let them in, and they're going to force you to allow them to test, and if you don't allow them to test, then they're just going to put your whole home under quarantine until they can come in there and clean your house out and take everybody away, including your children. And you're probably saying, DFG, that's a far stretch, and I don't see nobody doing that because some of you guys are probably saying over my dead body. Well, you're probably right. It will be over your dead body if you try to stop them. Especially, again, if you're not even prepared or have any knowledge that this is even coming. And I don't say this, again, to sound hopeless. I'm just a realist. I'm saying it to you because what Yah has said in his word. Now, let me give you a little of the word of Yah so that when I give you HR 666, oh yeah, I forgot, 6, then you have something to compare and contrast. You'll see the similarities in the two things that I'm talking about. So let's go to the word first. Let's go to Revelations chapter 13, okay? And this is what it says here. I'm going to start right here at verse 15. All right? No, let's go to verse 16. So Revelation 13 from our book, verse 16. And this is what it says. He also forced everyone. And I do use the word force. He also forced everyone, small and great, rich and poor, free and slave. So enslaved would probably be people in the prison system, at least for here in America, incarcerated, to receive a mark on his right hand or his forehead, so that no one could buy or sell unless he had the mark. Now you think about this. They're already setting us up, guys, where you can't go in these supermarkets unless you got your face covered. You have to practice social distancing if you go in these places. They're already saying that when school season open back up, these kids are going to be going through testing. The bill will talk about this. I'm just giving you a prelude to what's coming. They're already saying to go back to work, people are going to have to get tested. Be out in public, people are going to have to get tested, etc. And here it is. You just heard me read. Let me read it to you again. And he also forced, not voluntary, guys, forced everyone, small and great. Now, when it says small and great, it's just talking about without respect of persons. Rich or poor, again, without respect of finance or economic situation. Slave or free, whether you're incarcerated or you're not incarcerated. If you're just John Doe, Jane Doe citizen, does not matter. To receive a mark on his right hand or on his forehead. So, verse 17, so that no one could buy or sell unless he had the mark. And let me take a little bit farther to this. Remember I told you, let me skip over. That was verse 17. Now, if I just go right on over to verse 18, and it says, here is the insight or the wisdom. Excuse me. Let him that calculate the number of the beast, for it's the man's number, for it is man's number, mankind's number. His number is 666. That's Revelation chapter 13, verses 16, 17, and 18 that I've just read to you. All right? Now, I want you to keep that in context as I share with you HR 666. So let me read Bill 8R666. In the House of Representatives, a bill, still with me, to authorize the Secretary of Health and Human Services. Now, normally you might think that's no big deal. Health and Human Services, that sounds kind of, I don't know, harmless, for lack of a better. You know, the Secretary of Health and Human Services, I mean, what could they do? I mean, they about health and service, right? Son, son, let me tell you something. Health and Human Services are pretty much your government enforcement in terms of how they want to quarantine, isolate, place you in detention centers, FEMA camps, etc. That's who heads that up. Okay? That's the government entity that heads that up. FEMA works under them. Just so you know. All right? So that is not a harmless organization. All right? When it comes down to liberties and freedom and enforcing whatever agenda that the beast has put in place, or man or government, whichever way you want to say that. Okay? They're all the same thing, 3 different words. All right? 3 different titles, but the same entity, same meaning. Okay? Now let's get on into this. It says to authorize the Secretary of Health and Human Services to award grants to eligible entities to conduct diagnostic testing for COVID-19 and related activities, such as contact tracing through mobile health units as necessary at individuals' residences. All right? Or for other purposes. Now see this, for other purposes, that should make the little antenna go off in your brain. Like, what does it mean, other purposes? When you use words like other purpose, that is an all-inclusive statement. That pretty much means whatever else would hell we want to do. That's what other purposes mean. Whatever we decide we want to do, that's what we're going to do. That's what that means. So if you say, well, y'all didn't tell me y'all were going to be doing that. Y'all didn't tell me you would come to my home and you would take my children and put them in FEMA camps and places all around the country. They said, we didn't have to tell you that. We already told you all other purposes. You see what I mean? Now, this is a bill, guys, that's currently, in Congress being signed off as you sleep. As I speak. Let's go into this. All right. Section 1. The act may be cited as the COVID-19 testing, reaching, and contacting everyone, or the TRACE Act. Remember that analogy. Not analogy. Remember that acronym. TRACE, right? Okay? Just remember that. Testing, reaching, and contacting everyone. He forces everyone. Remember Revelations. Rich and poor. Slave or free. Small or big. To take the mark. Right? And remember that number? 666. Remember this number? 666. Oh yeah. And one more 6 to throw you off a little bit. Okay? But you see, remember about wickedness, Satan. In all secret societies, they gotta hide, they gotta hide the truth in plain sight. They're not allowed to go underground so nobody knows what they're doing. They gotta do it right out. Now they get an opportunity to disguise it, wolves in sheep clothing, but that wolf gotta show itself. It's gotta show itself. So see, they can't just pretend like they're not who they are. These are principalities. These are spiritual wickedness in high places, guys. They don't play, and they're not afraid of you. They're not afraid of man. They're afraid of the creator of man, but they're not afraid of you. They're not afraid of us. But by command of Yah, you follow me, they can't totally hide away from mankind. Because we're going to be judged based off of how we allow ourselves to be seduced or enticed or influenced by the beast system. See that buying and selling? That's going to be the downfall of many of you guys. Because you just cannot resist it. You got that little stimulus money, you had to go spend it. You follow me? We've been saying a long time, store up goods. Get yourself ready. Get protection, etc., etc., etc. Build stronger communities, right? And guess what? When they started dingling those little holidays and let's go celebrate this and let's go buy that and it's Black Friday and and this Easter weekend sales and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What did you do? You got pulled right into the beast system and you emptied all of your resources into the beast's coffers, and now the beast is gonna come back and he's gonna have you for dinner. That's what the wolf do. That's what the wolf, intends to do to all sheep. So if you're still thinking like a sheep, or you've been thinking like a sheep, you might want to kind of pull back now and start thinking critically and start planning for these wolves, because they're coming. All right? But again, I just gave you something to compare and to contrast. And I'm just talking about just a small piece of our history book that is for warning us of what's to come. Yah, said that we would not get caught. He said the wise would understand and not be deceived. But he said the wicked, they won't understand. In other words, they're going to doubt. They're going to be naysayers. Oh, I don't believe him. Or cut him off, whatever. I don't believe them, because I'm not the only one that's sharing this truth. And he said that the wicked, they will not hear, and they'll continue on the same path they were on before this truth was ever said. After this truth has been said, you follow me? And then they're going to end up with the dead. Many of them are already walking dead. They don't, okay, I don't want it to go too far from here. And I know you want to hear what I'm reading, so let me stay the course. I'll do my best, okay? But if the Rahuk pulls me off, just understand, stop and listen, because apparently he has something that he wants us to hear, because I'm also a hearer of the word as well, okay? Let's go. All right, section 2. It says the Secretary of Health and Human Services, acting through the Director of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, may award grants to eligible entities to conduct diagnostic testing for COVID-19, to trace, monitor the contacts of infected individuals, and to support the quarantine of such contacts. Now, you know what they mean by they say support quarantine? That means they're going to be watching you. They're going to have people they're going to hire right out of these communities, some of your communities, maybe some of you, and those people are going to be watching you. They're going to be spying on you. And then they're going to tell on you. Okay? They're going to report on you. Even if they think that you might have some signs or some symptoms. And not only are they going to report on you, they're going to report on anybody that's had any contact with you. See, that's why they're training people now with their social distancing. Because their intent is to break up the family, to break up the community, to break up society. This has nothing to do with some virus leaping 6 feet and all that kind of silliness, guys. This is to precondition social program you into being isolated and getting used to being isolated from all your resources and all the help and all of the healthiness, mental healthiness that being around family and friends give to an individual. Think about it, guys. Some of the most dangerous people who have committed some of the most horrendous crimes in the history of mankind, especially in the 21st century, were men or women who were isolated. Nobody were around them. Nobody interacted with them. They were loners, and they just pretty much flipped out and went out of their mind and started talking to these voices in their heads. And the next thing you know, they're out there eating people. The Jeffrey Dahmers of the world. Or killing people just sitting in their cars, the son of Sam. And I can go on to some of these other nutcases of recent, shooting up schools and shooting up people in churches and shooting up joggers running down the street, etc. Lunatics. Because that's what isolation will cause over an extended period of time. Even in the prison system. When they want to get a prisoner on a straight and narrow who's being very rebellious, what do? They put him in solitary confinement. Why do they put him in solitary confinement? Because they know that if you leave him in that environment for long enough, he will lose his damn mind or get his act together. When he comes out of that, he'd be like, oh, no, I'm going to do whatever you say. This is what's happening. This is what they're setting us up for, guys. They're setting us up, guys, to turn our backs on Yah and to empower those forces who are coming to challenge and to make war, not only with the people of Yah, but with Yah himself. Some call it the Battle of Armageddon, The final battle, where all the earth, or over a billion, several billions of people are destroyed. Biblical, I might add, in our history book. Can I continue? Thank you. Let's go. Let's go. So here's section A. All right. 1. Mobile. This is how they're going to monitor to your mobile help units. Now that could be like the little, health clinic going around. But you know what else they're going to be using? You know that Samsung, health mechanism on your phone that monitors your steps and monitors your weight and monitors your height, your diet, your eating. All of us got sucked into that. Man, what a great tool to have on our phones or on our wrists. Now we can get our steps in and stay active. They're learning all of your behaviors. They know all your behaviors, all your tendencies, and all of your vital diagnostics of your personal physical being, along with recording everything that you say. As you know, these units do now, from the television to the computer to your cell phones. So when they talk about other, as you heard me say, other purposes, remember I told you that's an all-inclusive word, so they could be other, what would be the word? So they not only can they track you to the clinics, but they can track you to other methods, and they will not be in violation of your First Amendment rights. Because once this bill has been passed and signed off on, they've already said. Plus, once the president gave power to the Secretary of Health and Human Services, which he did about 2 months ago, go look it up for yourself. They already have the power. The presidential powers have said the Constitution is suspended in regards to the COVID-19 virus. You have no constitutional right that they have to respect if they could justify that you're a danger to the well-being of other citizens or your neighbors or your family, etc. You see where this is going? You see where it's going? And we did it. He passed it right under our noses, and most of us were too preoccupied with, I don't know if you're in New Orleans, Mardi Gras. I guess if you were in, I don't know, California, the Rose Bowl, and, Atlanta, I guess the Super Bowl. Whatever the hell the Super Bowl was, the last one was. I don't know what the hell it was. Don't give a damn about it. Okay. But wherever had you distracted back when he passed, empowered the Secretary of Health and Human Services to take power and take authority for this so-called virus, you missed it. And now they're your government, and they're telling you what they're going to do through the Trace Act. Again, testing, reaching, and contacting everyone. He calls them all, both small, great, rich, poor, slave, free, to take the mark of the beast. Let's go on. And not only that, but as the scripture says, it's going to be father against mother, mother against daughter. They say your man's enemy is going to be of their own household. Now this is end time prophecy in Matthew chapter 24. Go read it when you get a chance. Yeshua said a man's enemy is going to be in his own house. Now you might ask, how could that be? How can my child turn against me? And why would I turn against my child? Well, if your child is working for, the Trace Act, and he or she is an employee, then their job is to spy on you too. And they will turn you over, and y'all will have a lot of animosity if they were to do so. And maybe it won't be you, mama, and maybe it won't be you, daughter, but maybe it'll be cousin, auntie, uncle, father-in-law, brother-in-law, sister-in-law. You see where this is going to go? You see where this is going to go? They're telling you, this is no secret. This is for public domain. This is public information. I'm reading the bill. You can read it too. HR 666. Oh, I forgot. In 6. Let's go a little bit further. It says, as necessary, testing individuals and providing individuals with service related to testing and quarantine. Now it says at their residence. But see, there's a little caveat with that resident part. At your residence, if your residence can accommodate the number of people you've been in contact with, including your immediate family. So let's just say you're a family of 5. Mother, father, 3 kids. You live in a 3-bedroom, house, which is appropriate. 2 baths, right? 2 bathrooms. Sound about, appropriate, average American, right? Well, guess what? One of you guys, I'm sorry, I stand corrected. If you only have 2 bathrooms, 3 of you guys are going to get removed from the premises and quarantined elsewhere. So you got to read between the lines when they say quarantine at home. Because most of us say, well, quarantine at home, well, we've already been quarantined at home. But what they're not telling you is what I just told you. If your home does not have enough facilities for you to be totally isolated in that home, they're going to take everyone out of that home except for what that home can accommodate based off of the conditions that they state to you that they deem as quarantine. Oh, yeah. I'm reading it. And then it goes on to phase 2, to purchase personal protective equipment and other supplies. PPE. We've all heard that term, PPE. Now, we know what that means if you work in a hospital, right? That means face mask and, coverings and other things to keep you from getting patients sick, right? But in the health and human services, that could mean weapons. That could mean that they can literally, license these people, make these people federal marshals. Talking about these people who are going to be monitoring you. They can license them to be federal marshals carrying handguns or whatever, assault rifles into your home to enforce this rule. And don't think for 1 second they wouldn't do it, because what do you think? You think that they think that we're going to just let the neighbor who's been identified and certified to come in my house to see if I'm sick, that I'm just going to welcome them in? Come on in, Johnny. Have a cup of coffee. Of course they know you're not going to do that. Of course they know that many people are going to be resistant. So they're going to arm these people. And they're going to back them up with the National Guard. And not only the National Guard from America, I'm talking about the United Nations National Guard. National Guardmen from all over this world. Because some of these people are going to be of a mindset that they're not related to you. They don't know you. You're not from their racial group, ethnic group, religious group. They're not going to have no problem enforcing these things on you. Trust me, they're going to send the right people to the right homes. Just like when they used Jerome Adams. When they wanted to make us the new face of the coronavirus, they got a so-called black man. Or Hispanic, black Spanish, whatever the hell his ass is. They got a so-called dark color, colored man to get up with that mama, pawpaw foolishness. And then blame it on us. You think that was coincidental? You don't think they could have had Fauci or one of these other medical scientists get up and make us the face of the coronavirus? They know that, no, we got to get somebody that look like them so they can't cry racism. They can't cry, discrimination. These people are very, very cunning and clever, wicked. So when they get ready to send someone to your home, it's probably going to be somebody, with clannish tendencies. Clannish, KKK, clannish tendencies if they're coming into the inner cities where so-called blacks live. And you can do the math, whatever group that they're going to be interacting with, you can believe it's going to be somebody who has enough influence or enough aggression inside of them to force their way into any home that does not, open up their door and let them in, by demand. And I did not say by request, by demand. They're going to force their way in if you don't open that door and let them in. Because you're a danger to society. And we have created this by participating in all this mask wearing and social distancing and staying inside and let the government, sustain us as far as these checks not to go to work. And many people now won't get off their tails and go back to work because they don't want to miss the unemployment free money. Like there's something free. There's no such thing free. Even free ain't free. Get that in your noggin. There's no such thing as a free lunch. If somebody's giving you something, guys, ladies, you better believe they have an agenda. Whether they exposed it or shared it or not. And this government is no different. They're baiting you in, getting you to relax your guards, to not stress, not worry, as they put these programs in place. So when they do come, you follow me, you're not going to be any kind of way of the right mindset to resist them. Because you're going to be already be socially engineered to be accepting of this. It's all for the better. It's all for the good of us, right, guys? So you think it's for the good of us, for us to be isolated from each other for months and years on end. If you believe that, guys, you really need to talk to, someone who's in the I want to say social sciences field, like the mental health fields. You ought to go talk to somebody in the mental health fields and ask them, is isolation and quarantine for long periods of time healthy for an individual? And see what they tell you. See what they tell you. I already know what they're going to tell you. They're going to say absolutely not. But, we because they gave us free money and free Netflix, right? Free cable and free energy and free water bills. And, you don't have to go free money, manna falling out of the sky. Just everything you need. Just sit back, relax. Just don't go around your family members and don't go outside unless you're going to eat, and don't go nowhere, socialize, anything like that, unless you're essential workers, the ones we don't give a damn if they die or not. Let them put their asses out there on the front lines. Who gives a shit about them? They're replaceable. We'll use some of y'all to replace them. Because we're not going to let them sue you a year from now if they come down with something because they've been exposed. That's the Mr. McConnell is already putting that bill in on the slide. While you over there watching Netflix, eating your popcorn, he's passing bills saying you can't sue if you went into a workplace and you were exposed to the coronavirus and you died. Nor can your family members sue. How many of you guys knew that while you were sleeping? I'm sorry, awake, but not awake. Let me get a little bit deeper into this. I'm not going to read every single line. You can go back and read them for yourself because I want to make sure that I don't miss anything. And remember, they're going to send people to set this thing up. Let me skip over here because B talks about schools, federally qualified health centers, academic medical centers, non-profit organizations like your churches and places like that are going to be death traps to a lot of you guys. You guys are going to run to these churches thinking that old reverend and pastor, blee, 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 and Creflo and TD and, and Paula and Kenneth, and all of these Copeland and you're going to think that these guys are going to be that way, but you never realize these guys have been government agents for years and years and years and years and years. Men, they took that filthy lucre, that filthy government money, they sided up with the government at your expense. That's why they don't preach or teach a damn thing in your churches anymore. Outside of pie in the sky and get ready for good time, white Jesus who's going to be coming. Hair swinging in the wind like a beach boy. You know what I'm saying? Half naked. Beach ready. Get a tan on. And you're, okay. I'm not going to attack you because it's about attacking you. And I'm not attacking you. It might sound like it, but sometimes you need to hear the truth about it. But these same churches and places that you go into trust, because they know many of you guys are going to go herd in there. As soon as they lift the so-called quarantine, you're going to be packed in there. And that's where it's going to start happening. Watch. Watch and see. Wait and see. Remember you heard it from DFG. Wait and see. I told you a long time ago to come out those places. I know there are good people in these